Hi, Charlie Black here. I'd like to show you how to set up GemFire on a new Windows install. So the first thing that we need to do is go get GemFire, and you get that from support.broadcom.com. I've already logged in, and let's go off and install GemFire from here. But first we got to find it. All right, so I'll show you how I find it. I go over to the software area, I click on Tanzu, and then I go to My Downloads. And here we shall see a whole bunch of things to download. But I'm only interested in GemFire today. So let's go ahead and search for that. And here we can see a lot of top level projects. Today I'm only interested in VMware Tanzu GemFire. So that way I can install it on here and run some GemFire clusters on my new Windows install. All right, so I click on that VMware Tanzu GemFire. You got to click on it twice, and then you get to see all the releases that are there. And eventually we might change up how this looks, but right now there's the .NET and the C++ client, native client, session management. A lot of things are lumped in there. But it's really easy to find which one's GemFire because it doesn't say anything in the front of it. So let's go off and look at the most recent version of GemFire at the time of this recording was 10.1.1. So let's go off and find that, and there you go. And so I click on that 10.1.1 release number, and here we can see all the things that come in GemFire 10.1.1. Your first time down, if this is your first time downloading it, you might not have these little download icons. What needs to happen first is there's like a little EULA that will be up here, a little checkbox. Just click that, then the little download icons will show up. Let's just start the download, and I'll show you all the rest of the things that are here at this release. So that's starting the download. And here we have, like a little README, vSphere release, a little OVA action, and all the open source disclosures that we have for this release. But the only thing that you're really interested in is the VMware GemFire. And I went ahead and download that. So let's go ahead and open that tar gzip file. All right, I like to use something called 7-zip. So I'm going to open that archive, and the way that tar gzips are, there's two archives. One's a compressed one, and the other one's a tar. So we have to do it twice, and I'll just go ahead and drag that to that folder. Okay, so let's close off 7-zip there. So now I have GemFire there, and I could have done this through the command line with a tar command and one thing, but I used 7-zip today. All right, so let's go ahead, and I don't like to leave this here. I like to put it in its own little directory that has a nice short path, and that's at my dev in a GemFire directory. And in here, eventually I'll have several versions of GemFire. I like to, play around with various versions. Say a customer is on an older version, I go ahead and download it. I can set up little test cases that mimic whatever it is that they're trying to tell me. And, eventually I'll just have a whole bunch of GemFires in this directory. It's a good practice too if you ever want to play around with GemFire, get the new version, get the old version, the current version that you're working on, what's ever in test, dev, you can play around. Anyway, you get the idea. Not only GemFire, but almost every other database product that you're out there. Okay, so now that I have I just unzipped and untarred it and put it in a nice location. Let's go off and grab that path. I don't want to change the name. I want to grab that path. So let's go ahead and click here. And I'm going to copy that because what I want to do is I want to set up an environment variable on my Windows machine. So that way when I'm on that command prompt, I don't have to type in the full path to wherever it is to go get my gfish command. And what gfish is the CLI for GemFire, right? So I just want to have that in my path. So how I do that is I'm going to just go to my environment variables and go ahead and start adding those items to it. So I'm going to create a new environment variable called GemFire home, and I'm going to paste that directory that we got for where GemFire is actually the current version that I'm using is at. So let's go ahead and hit OK. And then what I want to do is I want to add that to my path. So I'm going to go off and create a new entry, and that's going to be GemFire home. It's always good to use your home. It's always good to use your environment variables that you used. And I'm going to move this up to the top just because GemFire is awesome. I didn't have to. I could have left it there, but that's what I'm going to do, so that way I can actually see it at the beginning of this thing whenever I bring up my environment variables. This allows me to just use it on my command line, my IDEs. It's just everywhere. It's kind of what I would recommend doing because that's what I've been doing for a while. All right, so now that I have my environment variable set up, let's go off and use it and just see this in action. I've just downloaded it unzipped, haven't done much, so let's go see it in action. So let's run gfish from a random directory, which would be where my user's at. And lo and behold, it is the version of GemFire that I just downloaded, 10.1.1. So the first thing that we want to do, let's go off and set up a GemFire cluster. Why not? Start locator. And let's give it a name of locator. Now, if I didn't give it a name, GemFire will just randomly pick a name. We do this for like some of the monitoring things in the background, just to make it pretty. Otherwise, it would be like IP, a bunch of numbers and GUIDs and stuff. All right, so we have our locator started, and there are two processes that you normally start up with GemFire: a locator and a server. So let's go off and start up the server and give it a name, and we'll be equally as awesome with naming and just call it server. So GemFire locator is there for service discovery, so that way the servers will announce where they're at and the clients can find the servers. So that way if I want to dynamically grow the servers, I can, and GemFire will just handle everything for us. And my apps would not even care, right, that you have more servers or less servers than when you started up. Okay, so now let's run a couple extra commands, just see what we got going on. So I'm going to do a list members, and there we can see our locator and our server that we started up, and that's cool. So one other command that I want to run is just let's create a region, because that's our main thing that we do with GemFire, is that we work with these things called a region, and that is our distributed hash map that, when you do your storage operations, which is a put, this is where it goes, right? So let's go off and create a region, give it a name, hello world, right? And you got to give it a type. And there's two main types, partitioned and a replicated. If you don't know what to use partitioned, right? And there's a bunch of different options there. I'll probably make videos, or there's another video with that in there. You just go off and make a partition region and hit enter, and you are using GemFire. You can do a put later on in your application, and that's good. But for this video, I'm going to call this done. This is me setting up GemFire, just testing it out and seeing how it works. We did a lot in this video. We went to support.broadcom.com. We downloaded the latest version. We unzipped it. We put it in our path, and we even started up a cluster. It's a lot of stuff that we did in this video. Thanks for sticking with me. If you have any questions, just leave a comment below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And like always, thanks for watching.